¿Qué pasó, mi gente, otra vez? It's MarkTep25 coming back at you. I felt I had some time to kill. I was watching a few more YouTube videos. Some of them kind of old. I was kind of looking at a Rusty Buckets video about the problem with NBA media. And pretty much just, I guess, media in general, if you want to put it on a higher spectrum of things. And yeah, I have to say, a lot of what he said is very true. A lot of these sports analysts, their biases tend to show, and it's kind of annoying. And look, I get it. We all have our biases. I have my biases for the Mavs. Rusty likes, the Bulls. Dom and B-Souls like the Celtics, and I think Legend of Winning likes the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Oh, and Mike Rizembe also likes the Bulls. But here's the thing. We all have our biases. But the difference between NBA YouTubers, I mean, because I'm trying to be a little bit more sports, more sports oriented, like for an entire spectrum, not just basketball. I mean, basketball is just my favorite sport. But what I'm trying to say is, in general, the NBA YouTube community is a lot better than the usual sports media, because while we all do have biases, they try not to let their biases get the best of them. They try to look at things, as they are, face value, while also taking into consideration other things in context. The sports media just goes at this blindly, even though they have all the freaking information in the world. They have all the information to dispute their own claims, to be more honest, yet they choose not to be. And as Rusty said it best, the reason behind that is views. Views are an important part of YouTube and television. But television, it's a bigger deal on television, because the Nielsen ratings, and if they don't get enough of those views, they have to cancel shows, they lose money, that sort of thing. It's kind of ridiculous. But here's my deal. People say, oh, well, people only will watch sensationalized bullshit, and I get it, but I would still watch a show if it was brutally honest and unbiased towards a certain sports team or a certain figure. Like, you have certain analysts and players like, Jalen Rose. I mean, he has a few of his biases too, but I respect his views a lot more than I respect Skip Bayless. Like, I respect Jalen Rose's views way more, because he's played the game, he knows what the heck's going on. And, granted, people outside of, the actual, media and, the players themselves, I mentioned all the ones that I tend to watch. And, again, I take their word for it because they put more effort into looking up the statistics, into making sure that they are not feeding misinformation. You know what I mean? And that's what the sports media needs to start doing. They need to get back to that, instead of making all this sensationalized BS and cutting people down. And that's another thing. You have people like Skip Bayless on NBA Twitter, just making all these outlandish takes. And, he always, on his show, talks about the same topics every day. Have you noticed this? He always talks about the same topics. It's always LeBron James, the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Brady, just a whole slew of the same stuff. Can you not talk about something else? That's another thing. I think that's why a lot of people are turning more to sports YouTube videos rather than the actual media, because they talk about other things. It's a I can't even speak, sorry. It's a breath of fresh air. Ahí está. Inglés no es mi primero idioma. But here's the thing. You gotta understand. We try our best to be unbiased towards everything else. I want to talk about, my Dallas Cowboys in an unbiased way. Do I think they're a good team? As it stands, not really. They have potential, but I don't think they're a good team yet. The only way they're going to be good is if Dak Prescott improves his throwing. His deep passing is what kills them. I mean, granted, he is efficient when he plays the short game. But when he goes for that deep ball, it kills them. And they can't always rely on Ezekiel Elliott. Like, you saw it against the Rams. Ezekiel Elliott was held to very little yardage. But Dak Prescott, I mean, he did decent for what it was worth, but he could have been better. And if he had a better throw, like better range, that would totally free up Elliott more. And that's the thing. We are not 100% ready yet. And the problem with the Cowboys is the freaking management. Jerry Jones wants to control every little aspect, and he keeps putting yes men because he wants to pat his ego and, oh, well, the fans are going to be there anyway because it's the Cowboys. And you know what? That's also our fault. And Rusty Buckets put it best again. That's our fault. We let this happen. Instead of sticking it to these organizations and being like, hey, cut this bullshit out or we stop watching you. But of course, we can't because, man for ages is, tempted by the sport. We yearn to watch competition. It's in our nature. But at the same time, we have to learn when to take a stand for honesty and integrity of the sport. And Jerry Jones, he keeps killing his own organization. He keeps killing it. Because for a businessman, you would think winning begets more winning. And that said winning and championships begets more money. Like, how is that not common sense? You get more money, you get more contracts, you get more, all of that shit. But the thing is, it doesn't affect him because he is rich himself. He is super rich. It doesn't bother him. It doesn't matter, like, how many fines you put on him. It doesn't matter, like, what happens to his players. As long as he is living large, he doesn't give a shit. And that's the thing about all these other, organizations too. And I might do another video on sports organizations, like the players versus the organizations. Like when it comes to, especially like trade and free agency, because, everyone gets all up in arms when a player leaves and gets pissed off at the management when these players leave. But where does the fault truly lie in that regard? I mean, that's going to be for a later video. But anyway, the whole issue with the media is that they don't care. As long as they're getting those views, they will continue to push this, for lack of a better term, yellow journalism. Because that's what it is. It's falsified, like it's falsehoods posed as facts. They don't tell the whole story. They only tell what's beneficial to their argument, to their case. But you can't do that. You have to have all the facts. If not, you're being dishonest. And that has to stop. And the thing is, like, as I stated earlier, I would still watch a show if they were brutally honest. Like, people like Stephen A. Smith, he has his biases too. I mean, but however, I trust him a little bit more because he seems to know a little bit more and he seems to give a little bit more of the facts. Whether I'm correct on that or not, that's up for you to decide. But I trust him a lot more than most others. When it comes to football, because, undisputed, you have Shannon Sharpe versus Skip, right? Shannon Sharpe, when it comes to football, I listen to everything he has to say. You know why? Because he knows. Like, when it comes to football, he's right. Every time he says something, he is right when it comes to football. Skip is just a biased little child, and he is the reason why most other teams, like fan bases, hate the Dallas Cowboys. He is a huge reason. I mean, besides the fact that our fan base is kind of ridiculous, I might do a video on that as well. Why the Dallas Cowboy fan base is so hated. But, yeah, I tend to believe the players more than I do the analysts. Because, yes, they have all the statistics, but as a lot of NBA YouTubers and other sports YouTubers have shown, the stats don't always tell the full story. you also have to see what the situations were. Because I could see that, for lack of a better example, like let's say Kawhi Leonard has like 12 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist on, I guess, let's see, 6 for 12 shooting. But I didn't realize or didn't note that he had gotten injured in the middle of the game. I say, oh, he had a bad game. You can't say that, because if you look, he freaking got injured in the middle of it. Who's to say if he kept playing, he would have had, you know, more points, more assists, and all of that. Yeah, it may be a rough start, but who's to say he wouldn't have finished better? Like, you can't just base it upon the black and white stats. There's more to it. There's more nuance. There could have been calls that were not made. There could be a number of things. But we have to look at things in context. Otherwise, we're not telling the whole story. And as a band director of mine used to say back in high school, if you're going to tell it, tell the whole story. You know? That's how it needs to be. Otherwise, you're just telling lies for your own benefit. And that can't happen. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and please subscribe. Wow, I can't even speak today. Please subscribe to my channel. And hasta la próxima, gente. Peace.